Andy, we're good? Brianna? Okay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Clovis City Council meeting for January 12th, 2026. We'll call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. And if you can all rise, Councilmember Ashbeck will lead in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please join me in saluting our flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Lynn. If our city clerk could call the roll.
Yes. Councilmember Ashbeck?
I'm here.
Councilmember Baskell? Here. Councilmember Bessinger?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Pierce?
Here.
And Mayor Moanatua?
Here. Okay, at this time, we'll move into public comments. And public comments is a chance for members of the public to address the council on an item which is in our jurisdiction, but not on the agenda. I want to know for the record, we have five comments. 5 written public comments sent to us, and they will be put into the record for the minutes as well. If you can state your name and address for the record, we're happy to have you.
Karen Toleros, 727 West Escalon, Clovis. And I'm back tonight to add some more information on the intersection of Willow and Escalon and our neighborhood's concerns about having traffic southbound on Willow being able to turn left into our neighborhood. What I have put together is a proposed petition to take to the neighbors, to have them sign, and to bring back to you. So any comments would be appreciated. And these concerns are reasons for what we talked about last week, so I won't read them to you. Also, I included the petition from 1992, which was the original petition to close off that access. Okay, I've done some work. So, first of all, you'll see I have some maps that I have to show you what I was talking about last week. And if you look at your first map, this is a picture of Clovis West Estates. And you can see here is Escalon, and how it comes around onto Adler and then Stewart to Cole Elementary. So one reason this is important is because it shows there are 6 intersections, which I told you last week, but you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 streets that intersect onto Escalon. Now you can see all these streets are quarter-mile streets that feed into Escalon. So we do have quite a bit of traffic, but the most concerning point is the children. So all the children in this neighborhood are walking down to Escalon, coming down and around to Cole Elementary School. It is our belief that adding more traffic onto that street would put their safety at risk. So, I did a traffic study. I know teachers. Anyway, I decided that I wanted to know what the traffic was at the busiest time, 7:30 to 8:30. So what I did was 7:20 to 8:20. So on January 5th was a Monday, a work day, not a school day. I tallied. Any car that came onto Escalon Avenue, I counted it, came to 49 cars. The next day, on January 6th, I did the exact same thing from 7:20 to 8:20, was a school day and a work day. 141 cars came onto Escalon Avenue. That is an increase of almost 3%, 2 point something. And it's 288% increase. So that tells us where most of our traffic is coming from. It's going to Cole Elementary School. Now, if you look at the last map I gave you, this is a map of most of Cole's district. Cole Elementary is down here. And you can see these homes feed down and come down through Escalon and around all these, not these so much right here. But the area we're concerned about is the neighborhood to the west of Willow. See all these homes right here, the Hallmark homes over here? If this is opened up for traffic to come down Escalon and around to the school, look at all those homes. Can you imagine how much traffic that's going to add coming down Escalon, along with all the children on their e-bikes? We had 3 e-scooters today. It's just not going to be safe for the kids. So we've also noticed that and I agree, there's a lot of traffic here at Willow and Bullard. If that is the real problem down here, maybe it's time to think about a signal at Helm and Bullard leading into the front of Cole Elementary School. That, to me, would not put any children at risk. That would be a good thing to do. Okay, so.
Thank you very much, Karen, for your work. Yeah.
Thank you for.
And please stay engaged with our staff on this one. Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else like to address the council? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public comments portion. We'll move now to the consent calendar. Consent items are considered as one motion, and so does any council member like to remove any of the items? We have 3 items, 1 to 3. Seeing none, anyone in the public like to address items 1 to 3 at all of the public comment section? Seeing none, we'll close the public comments. What's the pleasure of the council?
My job, apparently. I'll make a motion, we approve the consent items numbers 1 through 3, and I will make a comment on the boot item during Chad's presentation, but I will make a motion now.
Okay. Second. Motion and second. All those in favor of consent items 1 to 3 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We will now move to the administrative item number 4, findings and recommendations from the Measure Y Oversight Committee. And staff on this is our city manager, Andy Hausler, and finance director, Jay Schengle.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a item that we're bringing before you to comply with the city adopted ordinance and resolution regarding the Measure Y Oversight Committee. Jay is going to take the bulk of the report, but I just wanted to mention for the record that we have a few members of the committee in the house tonight. We have our chair, Ms. Snow, and I believe I saw Ms. House back there hiding in the corner, as well as Mr. Rollins. So I just wanted to thank them for being here and turn it over to Jay for the report and provide any comments on that.
Thank you, Andy. So tonight we're reporting out the 24-25 findings and recommendations from the Measure Y Oversight Committee. As a reminder, this is for the period April 1, 25 to June 30th, 25. So this report tonight concludes the first fiscal year of the Measure Y reporting. So the local sales tax measure, Measure Y, in November 24, 66% of voters overwhelmingly approved Measure Y with the clear mission to protect and enhance the Clovis way of life. As a reminder, it was a 1% local district tax. The tax allocation started April 1st of this last year, and it provided sustainable funding for core programs such as public safety, parks and neighborhoods, and street maintenance. So City Council established an independent oversight proactively to guarantee accountability. It was a voluntary action by council. Council established this committee not by legal mandate, but due to strengthen the public trust. The general tax did not require this committee, but City Council wanted that. The framework was actually formalized via ordinance and resolution, and the goal is to ensure every dollar is used for voter-approved purposes. So the independent citizens appointed by council. So currently we have LaDonna Snow, appointee of Councilmember Bessinger, that is the chair. Des Haas, which is appointed by Councilmember Baskell, which is the vice chair. Sarah Anderson, which is the appointee of Councilmember Ashbeck. Eric Rollins, which is the appointee of Mayor Pro Tem Pierce. And Greg Newman, appointee of Mayor Mulawantua. So the scope of the committee responsibilities, really, the mission is to verify that Measure Y revenues and expenditures align with voter intent. So the first part is review, they analyze the revenue collections and expenditure records. Second, to verify, confirm allocation methods are traceable. And finally, report, advise to the City Council on and public on findings. So the committee met with the city manager, finance director, police chief, fire chief, public utilities director to review revenue allocations, expenditure records, and departmental budgets. And what they found was that we were aligned. Actual and budgeted expenditures supported essential public services, including public safety, parks, street maintenance, and neighborhood preservation. We were transparent. Allocation methods and accounting for Measure Y revenues are transparent, traceable, and in accordance with adopted financial policies. And lastly, the accuracy. All information presented was verified and accurate and consistent with the purpose approved by the voters in November 2024. And with this item is a receive and file. I'm open to any comments and questions.
Are there any questions of the staff? Lynn, did you have a question?
Sorry.
Okay, anyone else? Okay. Hey, Jay, I just wanted to say thank you. From the beginning, this was a general tax, but you and Andy, you guys treated it like a special tax where we requested that this be itemized. And not only did you develop the accounting standards or protocol for it, you had to teach all the departments where any of these dollars would go to so that they actually remember that these are Measure Y dollars. So that way your reporting can be accurate, not just to the council, but to our oversight committee, and then to the public ultimately. And I think sometimes I forget how difficult or how much more work that was. But then, like you said at the beginning, because of us wanting the public trust and also of them wanting to see or passing this for us, I think it was something that you guys did an excellent job. I just wanted to acknowledge that publicly and appreciate that, Andy, and also Jay, you and your staff for creating this so that way our oversight committee can really see, even though it's a general tax, it is treated with special scrutiny and reporting, so appreciate that.
I appreciate that as well. So does my staff. Couldn't have been possible without their help this last budget season.
This time, we're going to go ahead and open up the public portion. If you would like to address the council on this item, you may do so.
Hi, I'm LaDonna Snow. I am chair of the Oversight Committee. I have to say that I have been more than impressed and pleased with the results we've seen from the tax measure. We have money set aside for things that we didn't even know yet that we were going to need, like a new fire truck, which is what, $500,000? Wasn't quite planned on, but yet it was planned on, and it's very much needed, as well as another fire station to go along with that and manning all of that. The funds have come in better than we had hoped for, and those will be set aside for problems that we don't even know are going to arise yet. I was fortunate enough to get to go into the drone center and see that technology, and I have to say that having a degree in criminology, I was wowed. It has put us above and beyond anything else out there in keeping our city safe and our officers safe. And I can't say how impressed I was with that, and the fact that we are using technology to the best advantage that we can right now to keep everyone safe here in the city of Clovis. So thank you.
Thank you, LaDonna. Thanks for your service.
Eric Rollins. I live on Ashcroft Avenue in Clovis, and I'm also on the Measure Y committee. And I just wanted to say thank you for setting up this committee. I've interacted with government on various levels throughout the county, and Clovis is a unique place. So I think we need to take a moment to thank the staff, to thank our council members that we have transparency, that we don't always agree, but we can reach out and talk to each other. And so I hope that that continues, that the people here in this audience realize that we have something special. We need to make sure that it continues. I also very much appreciate how open the staff was when I asked questions about Measure Y. I very much appreciate the feedback I got from both chiefs, both the fire chief and the police chief, and because I asked them, well, how is this actually meeting their needs? Because you can look at this from the public's perspective, from government's perspective, from staff's perspective. But ultimately, if our first goal was to take care of public safety, we need to hear from both chiefs and what their perspective was. And I'm pleased to say that at this point, they seem to be very, very happy, and I hope that continues. I thank you for this time.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you also for your service on the committee. Anyone else like to address the council on this? Okay, seeing none, we'll move back to the council. And this is just a receive and file, so there's no action taken. So thank you, Jay and Andy, for the
Can
report.
I make a comment now?
Yes, go ahead. Let's do that.
Thank you to those that are here for your service and to the other two that are not here. I think the challenge before you is, this is the wrong word, but it seems easier to manage the measure early because there's not volumes of money, right? It's a manageable flow. So I think for staff that have created a system that will allow us to grow into the measure and the citizens' role to keep an eye on it, it's going to be more data, more difficult, broader as time goes on. So your role will be super important as it goes forward. So thank you for getting us off on the right foot, because if we'd gotten started bumpy, it would be worse in a year. So anyway, thank you for your service, all of you that are here. Appreciate it, and we'll trust you to keep an eye on it and let us know what you see. Thanks.
Any other comments? Okay. We will now move to item 5. We have a workshop, and this is for economic development. And staff on this will be Chad McCollum. I think it's housing and communications too, or just economic development, Chad? Just economic development?
So, thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
My name is Chad McCollum, for the sake of those in the audience, and I am the director over a department that has economic development, housing, and communications. Tonight, I will just be focusing on economic development, and there'll be opportunities in the future for you to hear me drone on about everything great that I feel about our communications and housing as well. But tonight, you're going to hear me say great things about our economic development efforts. So that's my team up there. Sean Miller's in the audience. He's our business development manager, and he and I are thick as thieves trying to make sure that our businesses are well taken care of here in the city of Clovis. And I'd like to think that we're doing a pretty good job. So tonight, I'm going to be speaking a little bit about the economic development efforts going on, our strategy, and then we'll kind of turn the corner and focus on some of the fun stuff, some of the businesses that have opened up in the last year, and some of the projects that maybe you see as you drive down the road and you wonder what's going in there. So just starting off, I wanted to focus on our 3 main sectors that we take a look at here in the city of Clovis when we're looking at economic development. They're broken down into industrial, which is your manufacturing, assembly, which kind of runs the gamut. It might be as Anlin, cabinet connections, the things that you picture of things being built, put together, and then sold. Crow and Wolf, they make beer. That's another thing that's being manufactured here in the city. Wawona Frozen Foods, they put together a product and they sell it. That's all manufacturing and assembly for industrial. Commercial, retail, and office, those are those items that, or those offices that you generally see in a shopping center or a standalone office building. There are restaurants, our services, our offices, our government agencies. So it might be your favorite restaurant like Luna's in Old Town. It might be your Costco that you visit when it's very crowded on a Sunday. It's your Clovis Unified School District offices. It's medical office. These all employ people. You would go there for our services, and it's an important sector. And the other is tourism. When someone comes to visit Clovis and they leave at the end of the day and they've spent their money, that is a huge economic development driver. So these are really the three that Sean and I focus on very closely, and they're the cornerstone of our economic development strategy. Wanted to share with you just the top tax generating categories. You just heard Measure Y spoken about. Every time someone spends $1, there's a couple cents that's left behind for us to do something with it, and that's a powerful thing, and it's a big responsibility, as you just heard. These are the sectors that bring in, the categories that bring in those dollars for us. The top, you'll find auto dealers. That's not unusual for a community our size, and it goes down the gamut from department stores, building materials. You see fuel landing on there. Fuel comes and goes depending on what the gas prices are. When gas prices are high, we actually are bringing in more revenue from that. When they're low, it might drop a little lower off the list there. So the business REAP, which is kind of a weird acronym, but it's an acronym that says exactly what we do every day in economic development. The R is retention, keeping our businesses. E is expansion, helping our existing businesses grow. And then A is attraction, bringing new businesses into Clovis. This is everything that we do day to day. They all can be fit into these three categories when it comes to our supporting our businesses. And this is aside from tourism, which is a whole different ballgame. Attraction gets all the attention. It's the shiny new toy. What's new? What's coming up? What can we look forward to? We hear very often people want an IKEA, right? There's all these exciting things that people want. When really, Boot over there, you've got a couple representatives from Boot and the Chamber. Those folks that are existing businesses, I'd argue, are the most important part of our economic development and the most important part of our economy. So we focus a lot of time on them. So retention, who do we work with? We work with business owners, the shopping center management, landlords, and the business organizations like I mentioned, Clovis Chamber, and then Boot. They're the ones that drive that economy of the dollars that we generally are spending as a consumer. Sean and I, we spend a lot of time fostering relationships. The site visits that take place when we go into the lobby of an office building and ask to speak with a member of their team. Coffee meetings, phone calls, we monitor social media. Something I want to give a shout out to Sean, something he does that I think is really unique in our community. Each year when the time comes for us to inform our businesses of the street closures for special events, a normal community might just send a letter. Well, Sean takes that letter door to door. He blocks out about a week of his time, and I've had the pleasure of going with him when he's done this from time to time, but he does this every year. He walks into the business, says hello, shakes a hand, gives the document, and answers questions. And it's more than just a drop-off of this paperwork. It's a chance to connect with the business owner. What are their needs? That's that next part, this providing support. How are you doing? What can we do to help? So I just want to give a shout out to him. He's taught me a lot by kind of the old school way of being boots on the ground and staying out of the office. He's not in the office a whole lot. He's out in the field where it matters. So when we meet up with these businesses who we want to make sure they're doing okay, do they need our support? Are they seeking something? We don't know unless we meet up with them, and we don't want it to be a problem before we hear about it. So we do a lot of outreach. We learn what challenges they're facing, and then we try to connect with them on various resources. A couple of groups that we do partner with that help with these resources are the Valley Small Business Development Center, the SBDC. We support them as a city. And then the Fresno County Economic Development Corporation. It's another group. They have access to job training programs, grants, utility assistance. So our partnership with them is invaluable. They're able to support them in ways that we can't physically do because they run the money through their organizations, but we do support them financially. Expansion. A lot of those businesses that Sean runs into in Old Town or otherwise, they might say that they're looking to grow. They need more space. Maybe they want to open a second location. And that's when kind of that fun begins, where we've had a very successful business doing really well in Clovis. Now they want to do even better. So we might introduce them to a commercial broker. the shopping center management where we know there's an opening, and we start connecting those dots, and that's a lot of what we do as well. Now, is the property available? Timing, price point, and then if they're looking to build, the term shovel-ready dirt. I'll get into that in the next slide or two. So we're trying to help them make that next move to really grow their business. So retention and expansion, they really go hand in hand. Attraction is that stuff that everyone pays attention to, where we're trying to bring in a business from outside the community to come and call Clovis home, because someone will come to Clovis for lots of different reasons. They'll come here because they think they'll be supported. They think that there's a way that they can make some money. So both of those are very important. We work with commercial brokers, Fresno EDC team. There's also an organization, an economic development organization statewide called Team California that helps provide leads that we coordinate with every week almost. We'll attend trade shows. These trade shows are exciting. There's lots of people there who are looking to move into a community or trying to grow their franchises. There's also a lot of cities and communities like ours who are there vying for them. So that's kind of where the excitement does happen. Mayor Mwanatua and Councilmember Bessinger had the pleasure of joining me. I hope it was a pleasure. At Simicon West in Phoenix last year, where we were wooing some of these businesses, and we had lots of meetings. We probably put in 20,000 steps on the floor. It was a giant location. And then we have these great meetings. We meet lots of folks, and then we get back to town and the work begins, because they're hearing from all the folks that they've met from, and they're trying to decide the best place for their business. We're providing demographic information to them, income levels, housing, education. A lot of these people that we meet don't know, they've never heard the name Clovis before, so we're trying to educate them. There's lots of phone calls, online and in-person meetings if they come visit, tours of the city, and then introduction to key staff. That might be the police department if they're trying to figure out how a business license for alcohol might work, or how a land entitlement might work. We'll introduce them to the Planning and Development Services team. We assist them through the whole process, from first conversation to ribbon cutting. And it is an exciting process. It's a ton of work. I am always in awe of people that not just have an existing business, but someone that wants to start one. It is a ton of work, and our job is to make it a little bit easier. So land use. Once somebody decides, hey, I want to come to Clovis, and I might decide I want to build, they're looking for location, price point, timing, availability. On our city business website, clovis4business.com with a 4, they can search available properties. So we're walking through that process. They'll ask the question, is it shovel ready? And what that means is, does it have the right land use for their business purpose? And is there infrastructure to serve their needs? Usually that means water and sewer. So if they want to open a gym, they need to make sure that the land use is proper for that, needs to be allowed. If it's not allowed, then they either have to seek to change it, or they need to find another location. And then if they're looking to build, and there's a plot of land that they like, if it doesn't have water and sewer to it, it's going to be a very expensive, timely process to get to that point, so they may look elsewhere. The whole key is to get it done. We are relentless in serving these, not only our existing businesses, but businesses that want to come in here, putting out fires, managing issues. There's countless reasons why one of these things can go south. Andy had a saying that time kills deals. And if you sit on a deal that somebody's looking to make, and if they're interested, if you just kind of like let it happen, they may kind of run out of steam, or maybe another municipality comes in and gives them a better plot of land idea that they didn't know about before. So we move quickly. We introduce them to the business community as well when we can, and we encourage them every single time. If they're in Old Town, join Boot. If they're coming to the city, join the chamber. If it's a small mom and pop working out of their kitchen at home, wanting to get into the food industry, go check out the Clovis Culinary Center. I want to take a moment just to share some photos. I mentioned the Simicon West, which is in Phoenix. This was a unique effort. The city of Clovis, over the last 2 years, has partnered with Fresno County, City of Fresno, and Fresno State on this effort to bring the high-tech semiconductor industry to the city of Clovis. And while that probably won't mean a semiconductor fab, it might mean assembly, it might mean components, it might mean an office for design. So this is a really unique effort. There's not a whole lot of other ways that we partner with the city to our west, the county, Fresno EDC, and Fresno State. It's really exciting. This is the ICSC that it takes place in Vegas every year. It's an International Council of Shopping Centers. And this is before it opened. Andy will attest, there's usually thousands of people marching up and down here, and I clocked it, I put in 20,000 steps in the 2 days or each day of the 2 days that I was there last year. It's kind of fun. Want to give you a glimpse into this. If you have a meeting with Cane's or Panda, you're meeting in their booth that they've made to look like a restaurant, which is kind of fun. And Councilmember Ashbeck, yes, there's pickleball franchises there too, and I've met with all of them. So the challenges are, they know what they want, and if we don't have exactly what they want, they'll move on to someone else. Also, this group right here, for example, they're not in California yet. So we're biding our time because eventually they will come here. We've made the connections, and when they're ready, we're ready. The International World Ag Expo, taking place in Tulare. We go down there as well. We'll be there next month, and we'll be meeting with, of course, our local ag businesses and some ag tech, and just kind of putting out our feelers. So that's one that's close to home. All right. So when we either have an existing business that's looking to expand or one that we're trying to bring into our area, why Clovis? You can kind of think in your mind before I even click the next slide. What are some reasons why someone might decide to come to Clovis? And some of them are pretty intuitive. We have a great brand. The Clovis way of life goes a long way. I'm going to show you some photos here in a bit of some of the businesses that have recently opened. And when I always like to ask them, why'd you come here? And quality of life, great schools for my family, public safety. So as I go down the list here, they also have to make sure the demographics are right for their business. If they're going to be doing a little kids gym, they want to make sure that kids are there in the area, in the neighborhood perhaps, and that the parents can afford to send their kids to the gym. So this is kind of business 101. Home values have a lot to say of what they might choose as well. The business community, again, I've kind of patted the back of boot in the chamber, but I'll do it every single time. It's essential that these organizations are successful and that we continue to support them. We support them financially. We support them with resources. They have a great thing going on, and we're there for you. We're business friendly. What does that mean? It means that we're going to bend over backwards to make sure that if there's, first of all, that we're going to have the pieces of the puzzle in place, that if a business wants to come here, they can be successful. And then if there's a challenge, we're going to take care of it, and we're going to support them. And the next one's quality of life. People want to be here because they want their families to be here. They're not going to start a business where they don't want to live. Community events, our old town, parks, trails, neighborhoods, the city. I hear this over and over again. The city is well-led, well-managed, and well-maintained. Education, I mentioned Clovis Unified. Let's not forget about the other educational opportunities here in our area. California Health Science University, San Joaquin College of Law. You got your Fresno State, and of course the Clovis Community College, which is just on the wrong side of Willow. Public safety, we're the safest in the valley. And as you just heard, the support of Measure Y speaks volumes on what our residents feel about public safety. And you don't get that in every community. It makes a business feel safe if they know the police department's going to be there when they call. And if there's a code enforcement issue, we're going to take a look at it. And they're going to be safe going back and forth to their business. And their customers, if they're walking the streets of Old Town, are going to feel safe going from their car into the shop. So what can we control? This is always the question, because while we can do a whole lot, we can't do everything. But let's start what we can control. Our land use designation. We're going through the general plan right now. This is about once every 15, 20-year process. Renee Mathis and her team are doing a fantastic job leading that effort. We need to make sure that as we take a look at land use for the next 15, 20 years, that it matches our needs for our business community, and that the zoning is going to make sense too. Infrastructure, are we putting the water and sewer in the right places? As we grow, are the businesses who would like to build in a certain part of town, do they have the ability to do that quickly, shovel-ready dirt, or are they going to have to wait until we get there? Engaged business community, our Clovis Chamber and Boot again. Glad they're here tonight to hear this, because they really do a fantastic job. And then our pro-business practices. We have an economic development mindset. From our business license, where they first sometimes meet somebody who's coming in to ask questions, to our department, to planning and development services, we are business friendly. And that means a lot of things to a lot of different people, but to me, it means we're going to support you, again, from first question to ribbon cutting and beyond. So there's always things something we can't control, kind of like in a rodeo. There's always some curveball that you're going to get. Here's things that we can't control. And I'm going to start with the one that usually gets a laugh and then a groan, as we live in California. Our taxes, our regulation, our statewide politics, environmental rules, minimum wage, labor laws, the list goes on. There's things we just can't control it. So when a business is operating, chooses to be here, while we're in Clovis, we're still in California. So they're dealing with that reality. And when I pitch Clovis to some of these businesses, something that I regularly hear is even the perception of being unfriendly to business in the state of California might keep them away. And they might go other places, despite California being the world's 4th largest economy. There's a lot of reasons to be here. I love California. I think that it's a great place to do business. It's a challenging place to do business. Utilities. It's very expensive to operate. This is no surprise to anyone who checks your utility bill. It's the same for businesses. And then the installation timelines are very challenging for our business community. It's gotten better. We've learned some ways to really get out ahead of it. As soon as somebody who's going to be building in a place where they need a breaker box and they need all those things that the utilities require, we get on it quickly with PG&E, and that has helped. And PG&E has been proactive. It's still a challenge, though. So this is a challenge that we face even here in Clovis. All right, our land, particularly our land values. Compared to the state, we're cheap. Compared to the Central Valley, we're very expensive. Compared to the rest of the country, we're pretty expensive as well. So it's all relative. We might say, hey, if we're pitching to a business in San Francisco, come on down to Clovis, because you can get a whole lot more for what you're paying in the Bay Area. And it's true. It's not the same pitch to someone in Texas or Phoenix. They got a lot of land out there. And we don't have thousands of acres of developable land. If somebody wants to come in and put together a campus, we just don't have that. They'd have to go into the county. They'd have to go into another part of the state. It's just not going to happen here in Clovis. Transportation, this is a blessing and a curse. We are centrally located, right? We're a couple hours from the Bay, a few hours from LA, a couple hours from Sacramento. So that if you want to have a place if you want to do business in San Francisco but have a cheaper place to do it, that's a positive. Distance to rail, ports, and major freeways, it's a bit of a challenge. We don't have those things. We don't have the rails. We don't have the ports. And a major freeway is usually considered like a 5 and a 99. So 168, we love, we use it. But if somebody like an Amazon Center is looking to build, they're probably going to look to the 180 or the 99. The macroeconomic conditions. We can't control what's going on in the world. Global economy, national economy, it's going to impact us, and we can't do a lot about it. Inflation, interest rates, unemployment. So all those things are kind of out of our control. Oh, I left something off. This also gets a laugh. High-speed rail is coming. Believe it or not, it gets brought up very often from businesses who are in the Bay Area, Sacramento, Los Angeles, Bakersfield, that, hey, you guys are right along that high-speed rail. And they're paying attention to it. And I get the groans. I really do. But the business community is paying attention to it. And if and when it's completed, we will benefit from it being on the line. So I'll leave it in my presentation for the next time, and we'll see how much further along we are. Also, the airport, a little more of a sure thing. The airport's adding flights, business community comes and goes, and we do benefit from that. All right, so kind of wrapping up this portion of the presentation before I move into the next, and I just wanted to wrap it up. So the plan for this upcoming year is we're going to continue the REAP, that retention, expansion, attraction program. We're going to really focus on, Sean and I are narrowing our site visits. We want to visit with manufacturing sector this year. We're not going to ignore the rest, but we really want to dive down. What do they need? How can we help them be successful, especially as the general plan update and the land use maps are being drawn? What do they need to be successful? For attraction, we're going to continue to go to the trade shows. We'll go to the ICSEs, World Ag Expo, Simicon West. There's also a local manufacturing summit, Valley Made, and we're probably going to spend a little more time there this year as well. We've gone each year, but spending a little more time with our local businesses that attend those workshops. The investments, we're going to invest in our partners. That's Fresno County EDC, Valley Community SBDC, and Clovis Chamber and Boot. That partnership is very important with each of those. And in the 26-27 budget, I will be looking and asking for an additional position for attraction and data analysis. This is just one more body to help out Sean as he kind of tries to retain the businesses and attract. Maybe we can find a way to bifurcate those responsibilities. And then just somebody to crunch the numbers. Whenever we have a business that's asking to come to Clovis, they want to know all the things I mentioned, income, demographics. Somebody that can crunch those numbers for them would be very helpful. And maybe that might mean some additional software tools as well, and some investments in those. All right. Question I get asked all the time: what's going in there? And it's the fun stuff, right? So I'm going to walk you through the neighborhoods in Clovis, take a look at what came up in the last, what was built in the last year, and maybe some of the projects that are underway. We're going to start in Old Town, which really is the gem of our city. Boot would agree with that. And I'm just going to take you through. I'm not going to hit all of them because there's too many to name, but I really wanted to just point out some of the businesses, and there's a lot of them that opened in this last year. Jeb's Blueberry Hill Cafe, right on Pulaski there, opened up with a family that moved over from Blackstone. They had a fire at their location. They were looking for a new home, and they have a breakfast spot here in the historic Hoblet Hotel. And if you haven't checked them out, you should. Across the street, you have TT's Cafe, or Kitchen. It's a Mediterranean. My wife and I went there with some friends the other day, and they were wonderful. It's a family business, and it's very traditional, and you get all the stuff that you get from any Mediterranean place, but it's done in a really well done way there. Rocket Fizz, they're on 5th. This is a vintage candy soda shop. You can go in there and get plenty of cavities. And I see the kids coming and going there after school, so I know that's a popular spot. And it's nice to have a soda shop that is kind of catering to those young kids and the vintage candy. Right next door, you've got Christie's Boutique and Yogurt Shop. I popped in here during the One Enchanted Evening. It's kind of a co-op. You've got 5 or 6 different businesses in there that are selling items that probably are more catering to my wife. But I think that this is a great addition. It's in the old Madeline's dress shop there. Awesome Bike Company. We have a bike shop in Old Town, and these folks are really cool. They moved here from Sonoma. It's a young family. The woman, Ashley, is working behind the counter with literally a newborn baby who was maybe born a month ago on her little baby Bjorn. This is a really cool addition to Old Town. When I asked, why did you, why here, why Old Town? They said, we love the Old Town. It's so great to be able to walk around here. We had family here, and we wanted to raise our family in Clovis. So that's why we came here. The Lincoln, this took over where Neighbors was. There on Clovis Avenue. The further east Neighbors, still in existence. The Lincoln had their first shop in the Tower District. So if you've ever been down there, they're kind of known for their $5 beers, and they've got a pretty great selection of food as well. So this is a guy, Aaron. He had been eyeballing, opened his second shop in Clovis for years. He lives within walking distance of Old Town. So when this opportunity came up, he moved right in. They've done a good job with it. Crossroads, this is the shopping center down at Minnewawa and Bullard, just across from the post office. This, a year ago, this was a pretty, not rundown, but an older little shopping center apart from the main part of Crossroads. They knocked it down. These investors, one lives in Phoenix, one in San Diego, and they put in a brand new Starbucks, and people always say, another Starbucks? Yeah, Starbucks knows what they want, and the place has been slammed. It's really cool. They made it more of a community coffee shop, so you walk in there and there's lots of room to hang out with your friends and work on your laptop or whatever.
Didn't I read it's the biggest Starbucks in the valley?
I'm not surprised. I was
think I did.
shocked how large
I
it
read
is.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to.
The front
be-
counter is really large, and yeah, it's worth checking out.
Yeah.
Yeah, next door is a couple of offices. They're not going to put in the wall between them. They're going to have a dentist that takes up both of those spaces. So it's just an out-of-town group that saw an investment opportunity, and they're just really doing great things with it. Back in Old Town at 8th and Pulaski, House of Pendragon is back in Clovis. They were a little further north at one point. They left, and now they're back. They're, besides serving beer that they brew, they also have really great barbecue. So it's a good addition there. And of course, Sierra Nut House. Some of you may have spent some time in there shopping during the Christmas season. It's nice to have them in Old Town. And then just a little further away, you've got this business that's ready to open up soon. It's called Nourish. It's going to be a wellness / cafe / everything my wife will love as well. And they've got this wonderful patio built around the old magnolia tree that I'm so glad they were able to save and preserve. And that patio, they've spent a lot of time investing in that. And the building just looks great. So I'm hearing they'll be open anytime now. And we even have a speakeasy. Those of you who don't know, I can't tell you where it is because you need the secret password to get into it. It's by Chico's. But it's a fantastic place. This is just kind of, without the crowds. It fits about 40 people in there. Drinks are great. And the atmosphere is really cool. Literally, there is a password that you need to know to get in there. And yeah, check it out. It's called the Farmer and the Bootlegger. So it's fun. And I did go on to try to book. You have to book a slot on their app. And it's pretty much sold out for the next several weeks. So this place is catching on fire, which is really awesome. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, for sure. That's why I go. It's an excuse to go to the restaurants and bars, for sure. Yeah. All right, there's another cool foot. Really well done. They did a really nice job with it. So it's right there next to Cork and Knife. All right, moving out of Old Town onto Shaw Avenue. So the Shaw Avenue Commercial Corridor is one of the older commercial corridors in our city. Sean, Economic Development's spent years trying to revitalize Shaw Avenue and make it just wonderful. And what are the different campaigns that we can do to bring people onto Shaw Avenue? And the reality is, it kind of happened on its own. Yeah, a lot of work was done into it. I don't want to dismiss anything, but Loma Vista, when 35,000 homes went out there, you've got people that are driving along Shaw Avenue every day to get on the 168 to get into town, and that is increasing the traffic, yes, but businesses are paying attention. This is just businesses that have opened up in the last 12 months and a couple that are going to. Vallarta was huge. If you've not been in there, it is a fantastic space, and it's packed. You've got Chick-fil-A, that was, again, along with IKEA, was the one business that everyone said, I want a Chick-fil-A. It's coming. And you've got a hotel and a gas station. Business is booming on Shaw Avenue. And while the work that was put in laid the foundation, it's kind of now taken on a life of its own. There's the Chick-fil-A. Look how fast that's gone up. That's not even the most recent. If I went by today, there'd be more photos of this that would show the facade there. But this was right before the Christmas break. So you've got Chick-fil-A, and then just down the road there, you've got an old B of A that's going to get knocked down, and it'll be a Habit Burger. So that's the kind of revitalization on Shaw Avenue that's taking place, along with, I'm going the wrong direction. That's just some national brands and some local, just a nice mix. All right, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the mall. The mall's a challenge. We hear it all the time, what's going on with the mall, why isn't more, why aren't more things happening there? It's a challenging land use agreement. It's a land lease, and the ownership that leases the land from a local trust is outside the area. So neither party really has a lot of reason to invest in the property. That said, there are some lights at the end of the tunnel. Sean and I spend time pitching the Cedar Vista Mall at these trade shows as a location, in particular the Cedars, because it's a large space, 160,000 square feet. We do have interest in the mall. And I am convinced that there will be, just because it's proximity to Costco, Shaw Avenue, the efforts by the local business community, take a little bit of credit. We're pitching it like mad. We're actually walking through with an interested party later this week. So while there's no promises, when you're fishing, you gotta throw out the line a lot, and that's what we're doing. So I have high hopes for Cedar Vista Mall. It's got great bones, great location. There's some changes that need to be done probably with the infrastructure, but somebody's got to invest in that to make it happen. So that's the biggest challenge right now. Interior, like malls that are kind of set up the way they are, is just they're a little bit out of date, out of fashion. All right, Loma Vista Marketplace. While folks are traveling on Shaw to get into town, they also have a town out there. They've got a village, and it's really booming. The Loma Vista Marketplace is doing really well. You've got Me and Ed's, Chipotle, Dutch, Jersey Mike's, all those things that a community would need to kind of, when they get home from work or they want to go lunch and pick something up, it's all there. I think, Mayor, I saw you at 3 or 4 different ribbon cuttings out there last year. It was very busy and it was exciting. And the most recent one being Tractor Supply. So that's now open, doing really well, and that was, that's the most recent business to open out there, and there's going to be more. Herndon Avenue, let's not forget about the street to the north of Shaw there. There is a ton happening on Herndon. Maybe you've seen this building. This is an office building that is most likely going to be medical office. It's on the south side of Herndon there, about a block off Willow. And it was designed by a world-class architect. Those spaces that are vertical there are going to be windows. They're just waiting for the windows to be delivered. And the exterior will be wrapped up pretty soon. And then they'll worry about finalizing the leases, and they'll work on the interior from there. There is, if you look just to that empty space next to it, this is 40,000, 45,000 square feet. There's a mirrored building that is expected to be built. So we want to fill this as soon as possible so they can get working on that second space. This is at Peach and Herndon. You've got, you've probably seen this building. It stands out being yellow. This is the Hart Group. That whole corner is going to be medical. There's probably going to be 10 buildings that are all medical there. And that brings in, of course, services that we need. It brings in high-paying jobs, and doctors and their office workers buy homes. They spend money here, and we're just thrilled. This is a great area. And this is another kind of thing that started organically. What you're not hearing me talk about a whole lot is, Sean and I are only going after this sector or that sector. We're kind of equal opportunity. Certainly we're going after semicon industry because there's a lot of money to be had there. But this medical office, I'm not going to say it happened organically because the hospital put a lot of work into it and there was attention and paid to it. But when someone decides to carve out a whole large space and just build medical, and then across the street they're doing the same thing, there's some cool synergy that's going on that we just kind of want to make sure that the land use is proper, help them connect the dots, and get out of the way. Clovis Unified, down at Fowler, they have completed their most of their work on their campus for their online school. Of course, the question I always get, why do they have a campus for online school? Well, these kids need a place to go and take tests, and to have a community, and instructors and teachers need a place to do their administrative work. So it turned out really well, looks great. Here's a great success story. So Cabinet Connection, this is a business that is on Herndon there near Mini Wawa, and they employ about 140 people. Sean and I started getting some inkling that they were looking for a second location, and we wanted to make sure that they were making that decision here in Clovis. They wanted to stay here in Clovis. So fast forward, lots of meetings and phone calls, and will this property work? What about this one? I'm happy to report that Cabinet Connection will have a second location here, which will continue to increase their output of their manufacturing employees, and it's just a really exciting development. Can't reveal at this time where that is, because there's some things still being finalized, but it's going to be a done deal, so very exciting. And then this got some attention. The Joanne, although I love, you know, the fabric and crafts, I also love books, and the Barnes & Noble will be going in here, and it's just if you're going to lose a really great center store here, you want something to go in like Barnes & Noble. It's fits really well with Nordstrom Rack right next door, and it really will help this center attract people and money. So we're happy they're coming. All right, Dry Creek Business Park is just, it continues to amaze me. It's one of these spots you just cannot, the land values are really high. If something goes for sale, it gets sold quickly. Crow and Wolf is a great example of kind of something that we didn't really expect that the success was going to go in this direction. They're a manufacturer. They make beer. It's now become a place to hang out, but they're still making beer. And they sell this beer all over the western United States. In fact, they've become so successful that they acquired a second location in the business park where they're manufacturing, storing, and while it's not going to be for people to hang out, it is going to be the money driver that benefits the community. So it's very exciting for them. And then as you come in to the business park off Clovis, you see kind of some raw land there. We have seen some plans that it will be developed shortly, which is exciting. There's no use yet, but there'll be some buildings there. There'll be some additional opportunities for businesses that want to be in that space, which is, again, we get calls all the time about it. So watch that space. It'll get filled up pretty quickly. All right, Clovis Avenue and Palo Alto Avenue, the area formerly known as the Golden Triangle. As you're heading down Clovis Avenue and you look to the west there, you see lots of work being done. There was an irrigation trench that was undergrounded, not just in the parcel, but also in the across the street there. A car dealer, luxury car dealer, it's really doing him a disservice calling C.J. Wilson a car dealer. He's a car aficionado. He's bringing Porsche and BMW to our area, and it's going to be a fantastic center, a lot of other opportunities for businesses to be in there, to be a part of it. So watch that as that continues to grow and develop during this year. R&T Park, IQ is just put in a beautiful building there at Owens Mountain Parkway and Temperance, employing a ton of people. It's very high tech. Got a walk through after the ribbon cutting. It's been open almost a year now, and it's been a great addition to that center. Also, sometimes you see these signs available coming soon, and you wonder really how soon. Very soon. This is on the northeast corner where that roundabout is. You're going to see some services that will provide dining opportunities, gasoline, coffee for those folks that are working in the RT. So this is a nice development. And then finally, Heritage Grove. This is our newest growth area, and it's mostly still trees and homes, but the commercial's starting to move in there. And the avenue is a wonderful example of this. Enzo's Table, you remember it being kind of a like a prefabricated building with food trucks around it. Now if you walk in there, it's beautifully lit. There's a fantastic coffee shop inside. You can get local products that are being made right here in Clovis, which is really cool. Hats off to the Riccuti family for what they've done there. And then Willow Asteria, which is a restaurant that's in the same family as Annex Kitchen, is open. Again, my wife and I did go there on Friday. Kids dropped, yeah, exactly, research. My kids were out, and we were actually able to walk here, which is really cool, be able to walk to a place that's close to your home. And then the Foundry. So this is the second location for the Foundry. There's one in Old Town. There's also the Foundry Co-op, which is a separate business at this point. So it's a mother and daughter, and they're really excited about this. This is open and ready for business now. So that was my tour of the city of Clovis's happenings. Feel free to reach out if you ever see anything and you want to know what's going in there. I love talking about it. So does Sean. I know that it's kind of an exciting part of our job. So I know you wanted to speak about Boot a little bit, maybe ask some questions, Councilmember Ashbeck.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Well, thank you for that. I had so many things I wanted to say, but we won't comment on everything. I think the mall's huge. How do we hold on to that? I still think we need to be prepared for big box vacancies, because we're going to lose more big box stores as time goes on. So I think thinking about that has been on my list a long time.
Yep.
Love Herndon turning into a medical neighborhood much farther west than I really ever imagined. So I think that's super great. So yay. I always try to sell your culinary center. That incubator idea, we are great at that. So do you make it bigger? Do you make another one? Do you make a different kind of incubator? I think we have a unique set of skills, and Sean's done a great job on that. So I just want to always advocate for that, because in there are things like Miguel's Salsa that wants to become the salsa capital of the world in Clovis. So why not? But anyway, all that to say, great job. Boot. My question on the Boot report, that I did not pull from the consent calendar, but I did notice that the $18,000 quarterly payment was made. And I did notice the financials that were in there, that you had a deficit at the moment. And I know we talk about the amount we support Boot over time, and it seems to me that we make so much money off of Boot and the work they do. I guess at some point as we prepare for the next budget, I'd like to see if we could maybe increase our investment in them. And you didn't know I was going to say that. You don't know. I mean, but the numbers, the numbers were clear to me that we make such incredible money off of the traffic that they bring in, and I think we're just going to have more and more events as time goes on. So I would just like to compliment Boot for all that you do. Corey, you have held that thing together with duct tape and wire and everything else over the years, and now you have a great partner in Heather, so thank you for doing that. But I would just like to put that on the table. I know the Chamber does events as well, but there's something special about Boot, and it just sort of pained me to see that. Just like, okay, minus $23,000. And we might be able to find a way to support you in a way that doesn't put that pressure on you, which I imagine that you feel, that is weird when you think of the value we get back from Boot every year. So I would like to see in your budget review as you look for 26, 27, what we might be able to do in some way to support Boot, because it is such an important part of how we hold on to why Clovis is special. Investing in Old Town is really our job as we build out across. So anyway, that was all. So thanks for what you do. And yeah, I think we can do a little bit better to support them. I think at one time it was $60,000 a year, and now it's, what is 18 times 4?
Yeah, I believe we were at one point down to 40,000. Those were dark times for everybody involved.
Yeah,
And then that was during RDA
yeah,
reductions.
yeah.
Then I think we went up to about 60. We're currently at about 72. 72 is where we're at, and that was the council-directed budget this last year.
Yeah, so I'd like to put it on the table again, because when I think about the return, as I said, we get a lot of return. We ask a lot of you. We ask a lot of your members downtown, so how we might be able to support them in a way, because it is growing and it's wonderful and all of that, so just a thought. Okay. My trip to Victoria, Canada convinces me that investing in Old Town is like the smartest thing you can do. So Victoria's invested so much in their downtown, so much. Music and lights and Santa and all that. We do all that stuff too, but we can do, I think we could do more of that here. So anyway, thanks.
Any other comments? Yeah. Councilmember Basco.
Yeah, quick question on the Boot theme here. Over the years, Bert would hate me for saying this, but do the business owners like having more events downtown? The reason why I ask that is because we talk about downtown being the jewel of the city and the things that go on there, but have we limited what the capabilities of downtown could be by not allowing more events to happen in the downtown area with Boot? And I don't know if Boot's interested in doing more events or if the business owners are. So I'm just curious from an analysis standpoint, outside of Bert, who would kill me for even asking this question, but would the businesses be more open to, does it bring more revenue to them by having these events in the downtown area, or is it a detriment at times because of parking or whatever other issues may be? So I'm just curious what the thoughts are on that.
It depends on who you talk to. I mean, everyone's got an opinion on it, and I wouldn't want to speak for the business owners as a whole. I think that if we did want to find out more about, what sort of income is brought in from the events and then polling our businesses, we could work on that.
I think it would just be something good to look at
Okay.
and see if, is it something that we can do to help our business owners if that's something they're interested in doing. And on the opposite side of town, and I was thinking too, is we don't really have anything for the Loma Vista community either. So, with the expansion of everything out there and all of the homes and businesses and everything that occurs out there in Clovis East, have we reached out and said, do we want to do a month-to-month farmer market out there or something along those lines? I don't know if there's an organization out there or anything in that part of the city, but it just seems like Old Town's awesome. We do a lot of things, but it's actually a long way to drive from Loma Vista to downtown, so I don't know if it would compete against each other or not, but I think it's things that we could look at maybe expanding on and helping some business owners out there as well. If there's
These
a
are the
group or
conversations
something
we're having.
interested in
They
that.
don't have an organization such as Boot
Right.
at this point, but I think over time it'll organically happen. We do meet with folks periodically who are looking to have events, and we've directed them to take a look at it. So I think it's going to happen.
Okay. Last comment.
Yeah.
When's Shaw Avenue getting fixed? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding, but Renee.
Shaw Avenue getting fixed?
Oh, yeah, it's a nightmare. Loma Vista, Shaw Avenue.
I thought you were back like an old.
No, I was back on, no, I was still on Loma Vista, so that one-lane road. Yeah, okay, thanks.
After the bridge.
And the undercross.
Underpass, I mean, yeah. Any other comments from the council members?
I had one more thing.
Yes, go ahead.
Sorry. Under retention, expansion, attraction, I would add somewhere in there, code enforcement. Because I often call on you when a commercial center looks bad. And I think, I don't know how to wrap our arms around supporting commercial centers in the same way that we have expectations for homeowners. So, I mean, we've had this conversation many times over the last number of years. So I just think that's an opportunity, because the nicer it looks, the more I'd be likely to want to relocate to Shaw Avenue.
100%.
So,
And I will say that this is, so Paul is over code enforcement. We are taking a look at how we can more closely work together proactively,
Yeah.
because we're really good at responding when something occurs, graffiti, some issue that there's a challenge, but how can we look ahead and try to stop some of these issues before they occur?
so I think about where that, is it called Take 5, the oil change location? That building was tough, man. It was green and black and the oil change thing is not maybe a retail stop, but it probably gave a new life to those buildings back there. 'cause that-
100%, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, they came in and it was the franchise, it's the first one of its kind here in this area. We spent a lot of time working with them to make it work, because it's kind of a challenging location. That's, some of these older
Yeah.
corridors have that challenge. So, yeah, we're really glad that they're there.
But I would add kind of appearance of commercial standards as one of your things.
And if I can add, Mayor, we are actively looking, if not have issued citations on Sierra Vista Mall, kind of as being the hammer or the stick. And then our economic development team is like, let's go get a solution for you to get a user. So we're actively using both tools to address any actual code enforcement that we can.
Part of it looks decent. What about the movie theater? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
What about the movie theater?
It's a challenge. It's an
Well,
old
good
building.
call. Good call.
It's-
At Sierra Vista
yeah.
Mall. Staying in the Sierra Vista Mall
Yeah.
neighborhood.
So the old movie theater has been empty for a very long time, and it's probably going to take somebody coming in and knocking it down and rebuilding. But again, with the land lease, there's no incentive to do that. So if somebody moved in there, the tenant improvements would be dramatic. It'd be very expensive, and that's what's kept people away from it.
Pickleball. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Councilmember Baskin, go ahead.
Just one other follow-up on Loma Vista. The park that went in out there too, is that
Yeah.
something that we as a city could utilize to help with developing businesses or things like that? So I know when we did the grand opening out there, it was amazing. A lot of the neighborhood came out and were participating in things, but are we underutilizing that park currently? And is it something we could help with the business community developing out there for those residents to have something to do, someplace to go to, because it's it's a great area. It's got great parking,
Yeah.
huge area to use things, so
I
just
agree.
throwing that out there as a thought.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Any other thoughts? Okay. Chad, excellent report. I wanted to support Councilmember Ashbeck with regards to boot, and I mentioned it last time when you guys came, and so I truly support increasing or looking at increasing funding for the amount of return that we get, and they get none of it, other than the businesses themselves get something, but with regards to the economic benefit to the entire city. And so I also agree with Councilmember Ashbeck that those investments, then we can probably upgrade some of the seasonal decorations, and so make it where there's some theme, you know, just to plant a seed into boot. But you probably have, you just don't have the money. But something like that that really makes that area, oh, that's where we go for Thanksgiving, rodeo, all those, where Old Town is just something that we really like. And then I wanted to say, with regards to the culinary center, I think it's really time to upgrade. Bigger spot, bigger kitchen, whatever it is. I think this council would support something like that because it builds businesses, which in turn hopefully will stay in here. If not, they're going to be productive everywhere they end up. And I think it's a jewel that I think it doesn't get shined enough and promoted enough. That's something that I think it's time to really go, where can we get out from a small space like that to something bigger kitchen, bigger facilities to help those who use it to get their start. I also wanted to say that with the general plan update, I know that you presented a couple times there, that I hope that economic development remains a major part of it. So as we land use, we got to go, okay, what do we do? How do we plan? What do we create so that way it generates revenues for the city in key areas and strategically? And in that discussion, I think branding, it has to be a part of that. You know, I think some cities do a great job. You know, you brand it Loma Vista, a Clovis community, something like that, you know, Heritage Grove, and keep it Heritage Grove. It doesn't have to be City of Clovis. But now so now I go, oh yeah, I'm up at Heritage Grove instead of saying Clovis. I think that's okay because it gives a culture identity. And then we have the avenue, and yet we have the avenue. I was telling Councilmember Ashbeck, well, if we're gonna have that as the avenue, let's take that sign off on Shaw Avenue and Armstrong, because I see that as that's the avenue, and yet there's a shopping center now called the Avenue, so it can be confusing. And so, but let us own it. Let us be in charge of it. And whenever developers want to come in and they say they want this, no, we have that over here. You have to pick a new name. We already have it. So that way, I think we own the branding. We own what we call our spaces, so developers can kind of pick something new if they have to, or we retire something and actually bring it there. I think that's important as I don't know if it's part of economic development, it might be part of the general plan update, but it could be economic development as well. And then with the general plan update, I think industrial zoning, I think we need that. You know, if Amazon's gonna come to the next site, we're not a player. You know, if Google wants to build a campus, we're not a player. I don't know if the city has an appetite for that. And I think that's a good discussion to have, to go, what if we do? What if we get something like that? I think Visalia will surpass us because they have all that industrial. I don't know if we want to be there. I, for one, want it, but I don't know if the rest of the council or the general plan committee wants something like that, where Clovis is a destination and a major revenue producer because of 168. And so something like that, I think, is important to kind of just wrestle with. I don't know if you...
There's a need.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a need and there's a demand, and if we had the space for them and we had the pipes in the ground and the entitlements, we would fill it very quickly.
And then my last thought is sort of along with Councilmember Basco said, not just really Village Green, but how do festivals and community celebrations add to the community and economic development? Why don't we be the first one to do an Indian festival, Diwali, whatever it is, to be the first one to do a major Mexican, whatever we pick, event, and do, our Hmong New Year event. They draw so much, and whether it's us helping an organization or finding, if we push these things where the community is ready, and I would even say a German event, because I think we don't have any of that around here. Yeah, and we have so many breweries. I don't know if they're German, but it's beer. But why don't we do something where we own it. This is it. This community is going to celebrate it, and I think no one does it better than Clovis. And then we become destinations for festivals and celebrations, in addition to the other things that we do well, Clovis Fest and Big Hat Days and Rodeo. We have those three, and also the ones that Boot puts on. I heard that last year the car show was second largest in the state. That's amazing how we do it. How did we do that? And hopefully we pass. I think it was Santa Cruz. That's bigger, where we can pass Santa Cruz in putting the best car show. And who would imagine it's Clovis who did it? And last year I couldn't even walk all of it because there's too many cars to be able to see it all. And so keep up the good work, Chad. There's just some thoughts from at least from me. So. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, this time we're going to open up the public portion. I know this is a receive a file item, but if you have any thoughts or comments, please go ahead. Happy to hear some.
Thank you. That was an excellent presentation. I enjoyed it so much because I love Clovis. I love living here.
Can you
would it
give
be
your name if you're
possible?
willing to? Give your name for the
my name
record.
is Kay Aradaberry.
Okay,
I
thank
live
you.
at 56 El Paso in Clovis. Would it be possible, I know it's more work, just to make a 10 to 12 minute video showing what you showed us, and we could send it to our friends and say, these are all the new restaurants and what's going on in Clovis. I think everybody would be interested in that. And thank you for all your work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, okay, we're going to close the public portion. Thank you, Chad, for that presentation. We're going to move to item 6. This is a council item. It's the results of the community survey for In God We Trust, to have it In God We Trust displays in the council chamber. Staff on this is also Chad McCollum and our city manager, Andy Hausler.
Thank you, Mayor. So I just wanted to introduce this item, give a little bit of background, and then turn it over to Chad, as him and his team have really done the bulk of the work on this. So just some background. In September of this past year, there were some public comments received in these chambers asking if we could add In God We Trust into the chambers. And we had some comments on that. Council then asked us to go and get input. So I then turned and asked Chad and his great communications team to put together a plan on how we could get input on this issue. And it involved quite a bit of legwork that he's going to present to you. The goal of this meeting is to provide that input to you. And at the end of the item, if council chose to provide us any direction, we're available. But there is no action item on the agenda tonight to actually place this on in the chambers. It's more of an informational, and here's the research that we did. I'll turn it over to Chad to go into the details.
All right, so this is where I pivot from economic development toward communications. So as Andy mentioned, this all started in September. We got to work right away after we were given direction to gauge community sentiment. We partnered with a third-party surveying company to put together a representative survey that was designed to ensure a demographic sample, and residents were recruited online. We were also doing a parallel survey, which was an open survey, a survey that anyone could participate in. We wanted to get feedback from both, in both ways. This was print, this was online, there's identical questions made available for folks that found it on social media, on our website, and also who found it in the in-person events that we held. We held 4 Meet the Mayor and City Managers events during November and December. We talked about this topic during each of those. We had a QR code for those of you who attended up on the screen that people could click and participate in that survey. We also created a webpage where we had background information on the topic. We hosted this survey on that page as well, and it was also highlighted on our website main splash page. We did 20-plus posts to social media, different stories, shares across social media pages and platforms promoting both the in-person event and the webpage link. And we also got a considerable amount of news media coverage, and that was not surprising. So, the results. Again, the survey ran from November to December. This is the representative survey where folks could not opt in themselves. They had to be recruited. There were 508 individuals who had a demographically representative sample. And you see the green there. This is really the main story. Between strongly support and support, we had 68% of the participants who said they supported adding the phrase, "In God We Trust," to the Clovis City Council chamber. There were approximately 20, just a little over 20, who either opposed or strongly opposed, so 8.4% opposed and 13.6% strongly opposed. And then there was about 10% who did not have an opinion. We also wanted to ask the question, how important do you think it is for city government buildings to include visible words or messages that express community values? And again, you see the green, which is a strong majority, 51.5% felt it was very important. 22.4% said it was somewhat important. You had a pretty good portion that said it was neither important or unimportant to them. And then for those that felt it was somewhat unimportant or not at all important, it was about 15%. The placement, that was a question that we were asked to find out where folks would want the placement. A majority said they wanted to see that above the dais, 46.1%. The next highest choice was above the audience at 13.4%, and a large number had no preference. While they perhaps wanted to see it, they didn't have a preference. And then the other, not at all, as well, fell in there, but the green was a majority. We also asked, are there any other words, phrases, or documents you'd like to see displayed in the City Council chamber? And for this question, respondents could respond with multiple answers. The majority was "We the People" at 42.4%. "A Way of Life" was a close second there at 36.7%. The next two are showing documents, so the Constitution framed at 32%, the Declaration of Independence framed at 22%, and then there's other options that are also viable but rated a little lower. So overall conclusions, 68% of respondents either strongly supported or supported adding "In God We Trust" to the council chambers. 74% feel it's either very important or somewhat important to include visible words or messages that express community values. 46% of residents preferred the phrase be displayed on the wall above the council dais. And 42% of respondents supported adding "We the People" as well to the council chamber. So Andy, back to you.
So just to reiterate, this is a receive and file information for you to consider. You can provide direction to staff to bring an item back at your pleasure if that's the desire tonight. We'll bring that back at a future date. But if you have any questions on the data or anything of that sort, staff is available.
Are there any questions of staff? Go ahead,
I
Councilman
just had a
Basco.
quick question on the survey. So you said there was 2 ways the survey was done? What?
So the open survey had very similar results. This was the survey where anyone could participate.
Any Clovis resident?
See, there's the challenge with an open survey. So we asked the question, do you live in Clovis? And you could self-select yes or no. There's no way for us to tell whether or not they lived in Clovis, as opposed to the representative survey, which was vetted for that reason. So we are compiling the result. We know the high-level results of the open survey. We don't have the whole data analysis. When we get that, we'll provide it to you. We wanted to turn this around quickly so that you had this to make a decision on. But I've seen the results, and it's also a strong majority, and it will be somewhat similar to what you're seeing here. But we don't have any way to vet whether or not those individuals, somebody might have filled out a survey 30 times. We just have no way of telling. The other way, it was tied to your location and your phone, and there was ways to vet it.
So the results of the other way, which was the
Both surveys support adding the
So
phrase.
the numbers were similar?
They were similar.
Okay, that's what I want to know. Make
They
sure
were
it
similar.
wasn't like, because it's like, basically, we did two different surveys. We did a survey through a company, and then we opened it up and said, hey, if you want to vote for this, go for it, which defeats the purpose of doing a demographic-based or whatever, geographic-based survey. If we turn around and open it up and say, it's to the public, whoever wants to vote for it, vote for it.
It's something similar that we do with the community survey every other year, where folks really want the opportunity to have their voices heard, and we want to include that and give them,
Well, I agree with wanting to have people's voices heard, but I just think it's two different types of surveys
It
that
is.
we did.
It is.
Which can skew the results one way or
It
the
can.
other,
Which
which
is-
defeats the purpose.
Well,
Unless they both came in the same way, which is fine.
It provides different information. This is the representative survey. This is the scientifically vetted survey. The other one, you might see, like, one answer. So for this, we asked the question, were you aware that the council was discussing putting In God We Trust in the council chamber? And the representative survey, it was about 50% were aware, 50% were not. For the open survey, 90% were aware, 10% were
That's what I'm
not.
saying, it's two different surveys.
Which shows us that they were
Right.
either somewhat associated
So
with
anybody
it.
who showed up to a mayor's meeting in support of it
That's right.
would vote yes for it.
Not necessarily,
Technically.
but
I mean, they could, if
They
they
could.
came and said, hey, we're gonna vote, there's only 198 people that voted for it, right? When it was all said and done,
well, for this, there were 500
that were surveyed or voted?
surveyed
Okay.
and voted for this.
Can I make a point of clarification? The results that you're reporting here are only from the scientific
That's correct.
survey.
That's
There's
correct.
nothing that you've
Correct.
presented here that has to do with the open survey.
That's
So this
correct.
is just respondents
Correct.
and
And where did the
results
open
from.
survey come from?
So,
I'm sorry, I'm confused,
Yeah.
because we started talking about an open survey.
so there's two surveys
Right,
that were
so
going
which one are
on.
we talking about here?
Representative survey, the scientific survey.
So this is the scientific survey.
Okay.
We did have a survey available for residents who were engaging to give them a chance to engage. We
Okay.
kept those separate because we knew that there were issues with combining.
Perfect.
What
That makes
I'm-
more sense. That's why I was confused, because
What-
it would be two
I'm sorry to
separate
confuse
surveys
you.
that wouldn't,
Yeah, sorry.
that could skew one thing one way or the other, which.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and what we
Okay,
found was
that
that the
makes more sense
surveys,
to me then.
despite the randomness of one, they're pretty similar
Perfect,
results.
okay, thank you.
Can I
Any
ask
other
just
questions? Yes,
to
go ahead.
clarify on this slide, I'm with Matt on that, but, so 68% were supportive of In God We Trust, 74% were supportive of words or messages that express community values, not just In God We Trust, like integrity I saw, or way of life. So more people wanted a message that was more locally focused than In God We Trust, can I assume from this?
I don't think that's what that's saying. I think it's saying that they
Because you
believe
could be
that,
both.
they believe that seeing something on the wall that is inspirational or supports the community values is important. And the 68% shows which phrase that is.
Well, wait, but I said, to me, the second bullet is not including In God We Trust, and you said that was correct. So it is both. It is, 74% could say it's important to have something on the wall, and that could be In God We Trust.
It's not specific to In God We Trust,
see.
it includes it.
I see. So
yeah.
not a Clovis way of life, integrity, not that.
I think it's a broad umbrella
Could be
of, do
both.
you feel like communities, that a statement like this should be put in the council chamber?
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Drew. Your mic. Okay, thank you.
I appreciate the effort that staff has made on this. I'm confident in the numbers that you've come up with. One of the things that I'm really happy that we addressed also was giving people the option to have the documents that are very important to our republic, like the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, as part of the, well, it's more than a decoration, it's a statement. And this council chambers, I mean, the staff did a great job. This looks really great. But this place has needed a facelift for forever. It's like 1976, if I remember correctly. And while I'm not allowed to hang pictures at home because I never do it right, or I always make the holes too big. There's a lot of things that we can do in here. You know, we could have "We the People" in the script that is on the Constitution with a copy of the Constitution. We could have above the Declaration of Independence, "When in the course of human events." You know, we could really kind of make it focused on one wall, on the other wall. And I've had conversations with people at the Rodeo Association who told me they have really great pictures that they would love for us to put up. And I think we could have a collage. We could, you know, Clovis Fest, rodeo. I think there's a number of things that we could do to dress this place up, put a fresh coat of paint on it, maybe change some of the colors. Which I'm not allowed to do.
I can see why you're not allowed to hang up pictures at all. That is way, I can see why. I'm calling Yvonne right now.
And this is where we have somebody who knows more than I do and maybe more than anybody in this room knows. Come in and go, this is what I see. But I think that this would be I think it would be very fitting for the 250th anniversary of our nation to have all those documents and this place looking a lot better than it does now. That's all I have.
Any other comments? Okay, go ahead, Diane.
Yeah, I'll just say, I think one of the things that I was most pleased with, none of the results surprised me. It's kind of what I expected when we first brought this up, but it's not a bad thing to have data to support your opinions and positions on things. But one of the things I really liked about the inclusion of the kind of internals from the scientific survey was the part about alignment with values, because that was part of the discussion I think that we had as a council about the purpose behind putting our national motto, "In God We Trust," above the council dais here in these chambers. And that was the idea of it being that expression of who we are as a community. And so I thought it was really great to see that the response on the questions, to what extent do you feel adding "In God We Trust" aligns with the values of the Clovis community? That was 2/3 of the respondents who thought that it aligns well. And I think that's very important. And that also, you know, was right there with, do you support adding the phrase "In God We Trust" to the Clovis City Council chamber, 68%. So the fact that that is a strong majority, 2/3 of the community recognizing that, I think just makes the position of displaying our national motto, "In God We Trust," above the council dais here in these chambers. For me, it's a slam dunk, kind of a no-brainer, but I'm really pleased to see that the survey results completely support that.
Any other thoughts or comments? Okay. No, I just wanted to report with regards to the 189 surveys that were open. We did use one specific Meet the Mayor session for that, where the staff actually had just open charts. Pretty much there was no discussion other than instructions on, here's a survey, here's the questions at the boards, go put your dot where you think, you know, some of these questions were, and that's all they did. And then when they finish, you know, everybody just left. So it wasn't even a Meet the Mayor session at all, just a discussion. The other two, I don't know, how many do you think the Indian and the Hmong event was? It was pretty full, so almost every seat was taken, I would say, almost.
It was they were the most well-attended, for sure.
Yeah, and so
50
all.
plus.
Yeah, so they all kind of took surveys. Chad kind of went over it, how they did, what they did. I don't know, but, you know, those were just given, so that way we can get sort of, I think, Drew, you also mentioned you wanted to just get different sectors of the community, just see what those look like and if they were willing to share. So they did those as well. You know, what I was happy to see that at least 52% were aware that this was going on in the actual, you know, the scientific study. Because most times it's like, why is this? Why is this on? Why are they talking about this? But to have at least half that somehow you, us, I don't know, the media, so that made it where people were very aware, and to have 52% aware of anything that's going on in a public setting is pretty good. I appreciate that. Thank you for the work on it. My only comment is, and I think we said at the beginning, and I thought, Bill, you said it when you presented it for us, to see if we consider is, whatever we do, it has to be citizen paid. I'm still on that. So if we want to change it all, blue seats, the citizens pay for all the blue seats, whatever it is. I want it to be citizen dollars paid for this. I'm still for that, because citizens want it. Someone has to drive a campaign to however much it costs, even for the study, like, okay, the architecture that needs, yeah. So whatever it is, I think it has to be citizen-driven, paid for, even though we authorize it in these chambers. I still want to make that part of something that only I would support if it goes that way, regardless of which direction, well, for the pro direction, even if it's purchasing things and where we put it, I want that. So that's my only comment with regards to if we move forward.
Yeah, that was, in our discussion back in September, I made that as part of the direction to staff, that any display of the national motto or any of the other things, that it was contingent upon it being privately funded, that it would not be a taxpayer expense, but something privately funded. I still support that, and would be happy to take any kind of a lead on seeing that happen.
Okay. Any other comments before we open the public portion? Okay. This time we'll open the public portion. If you would like comments to help us in sort of the direction we may give to council, please state your name and give your address for the record. If you're
Kathy
willing.
Reinhardt, 3021 Clovis Avenue. I just want to thank you all for the time that you've put into this, especially the staff doing the survey and everything, because when we first started out, a couple of us were going around and collecting signatures, and to show the council that we do have community support for this. And so I'm glad it turned out this way. We spent quite a bit of time setting up tables and going to the businesses and going to different organizations in the community to get input from the various groups in the community to show the council that there is community support for this. So Bill and I together went out and we made up our own petition. It wasn't official. We told people that. We just wanted to know, do you support this? And so between the two of us, we ourselves collected 341 signatures. Of course, it could be, some of those people could have gone on and done the survey too, but we just want to thank you for your time and appreciate everything you've done to bring this to fruition, and hope that we can get it on the agenda and get it going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jenny Kren, and I live on Bullard Avenue here in Clovis. Just a question that I have for your survey and such. Did you do any checking on how many of the people had ever even been in this space? And as I was listening to Mr. Bessinger talking about, well, we need, maybe to spruce this place up a little bit, but it's small. It's, there's not a lot of options for dramatic redecorations or anything like that. So anyway, that was one of the questions, is did you have any sense of how many people knew what the space even looked like? I know that one survey that you did with the Meet the Mayor, but I'm not sure about the others.
That was not one of the questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Jenny.
Stand off.
Good evening, Eric Rollins. I live on Ashcroft Avenue. I'm glad we went through this process. I thought it was a little lengthy, a little more detailed than maybe we really needed. I thought this was kind of an easy home run, but I'm glad that we went ahead and went through it. I talked to a huge number of the people at the Meet the Mayor, the two larger events where the East Indian community was here and the Hmong community, and to a person. Now, I didn't talk to everybody in the room, but they were all in support of this. I hope that you agendize this, that is on the agenda soon, and that we have a vote on this. I would personally pledge money from my own pocket to help make this happen if the council so decides that this is going to happen. So I would absolutely encourage you to do so. And I thank you for this time.
Thank you, Eric.
Good evening. My name is
Good evening.
Crystal, and I live on Clovis. So the previous discussion was about economic development, right? And bringing in businesses and growing Clovis. And one of the things that, I'm not sure which one said, but is Clovis ready for that, right? And so keep in mind, when you bring in big businesses like the Googles and the IKEAs and the Teslas and all of these, there are specific groups that are coming with them that may not look like or think like you, right? So if you're truly interested in developing Clovis as an open and welcoming community for all persons, not just on the business side, but also as a community, you have to really think about what that means in opening and welcoming people, all people. I believe, no matter what my personal beliefs are about religion, and also I do believe that religion and politics should stay out of public places because it can be divisive, and that's not what we need as a community. But really think about if that is, by placing that on your walls, for all of Clovis community to feel welcomed with, is that really welcoming? Is that really what the message is that the city of Clovis wants to embrace for everyone in their community, in this community? So I just challenge you all to really think about that and to think of the bigger picture. Where does the city of Clovis intend to be, not just tomorrow, not just in 10 years, but 20, 50 years from now? And if you really are ready to grow in that direction, and that should be your answer. That should help you. Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal.
Hi, my name's Claire Diaz. I'm on McKelvey. And I was happy with the results of the survey. If I had done the survey, I would have voted yes very strongly. The phrase "in God we trust" is on our money, so I don't think it's anything out of the ordinary to have it over the dais. And this country was founded on Christian principles. You know, the founders, most of the founders were Christians, and so I think that's a good thing to do. And I'm happy for the results of the survey. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire.
Hi, I'm Tara Wink. I'm from over by the Clovis High area. And I have a question. One of them was, is there any place where like the public can go get more information in regards to this study, like in regards to demographics or anything?
So the analysis is on our webpage right now, and it has a breakdown of all the questions and the information probably that you're seeking. We are working on some of this back-end data analysis. We probably won't have the open survey information up there for maybe a few days. We were really trying to get it done today. That's why we didn't present those results, but everything will be up on that website. And I think the city clerk can probably acknowledge that it's in the packet as well.
And then another thing, I just kind of wanted to like add on to what Crystal was saying, and something that I was like kind of trying to address last time. Sometimes a lot of these things that come forward to city council, whether that's the policies or some of these greater conversations, a lot of times it seems like a lot of times we act like a lot of these are happening in a bubble, and they're not. A lot of these do like overlap, if you will. And I think it's interesting that some of this is in regards to representation. And we look back at the last 2 years, and there's a lot of times when we tell a lot of different communities that they're not worth that representation in different parts of Clovis, and specifically the library. And so I think it was really interesting that specifically like the study in regards to In God We Trust, a lot of times it really felt like it was I don't know how to say this, but like different opinions were like mutually exclusive. And a lot of times, like my opinion in regard to the specific sign, I just felt like, why are we picking like one group over the other a lot of times? Because it's not to say that we can't all get together. We absolutely can. But a lot of times the messages, sometimes Clovis specifically, sometimes we come off a little harsh. And I would like to see like more, I don't know how to say it, but I really liked the way that Vong, you saw that there were specific groups that maybe aren't coming, and so you made a point to do that with Meet the Mayor. And maybe I'd like to see that going forward a little bit more, like if we're having more conversations around LGBTQ representation, can we maybe make one of those Meet the Mayors for the LGBTQ or something like that? Because we had 4 meetings for Meet the Mayor in regards to just this sign, but I haven't seen this in regards to some of the other like big topics, and that's really it. That's all. I just want to see the same energy, equal energy for all of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tara.
Bill Scott, 341 Evergreen, Clovis. 1, your survey kind of speaks for itself. 2, like she said, we turned in 341 names in support of this. And if you look through those papers, you'll find we were doing some of that in the rain. They're all wet. And nobody got paid. We didn't go to any company to get this. This is just 3 or 4 of us out gathering signatures. I've got a binder here chock full of documents that are in opposition to the opposition. But tonight, all I want to ask you to do is to make a motion, second it, and vote to have this put on the agenda so that this can be voted up or down. And at that time, if you want to see some of this information, I'll give it to you. And Mayor, I'd like to ask you something. You talked about festivals. Let's put on an Okie festival. I love Okie food, and there are no Okie restaurants here in Clovis. Thank you.
Does it have a book club?
Chad will note that. So, any other comments? Okay. Yes, there are 2 written comments in opposition or against having any motto placed. And if one of them, if it was going to place any motto, it would be E pluribus unum. So I just wanted to note that there are 2 additional public comments on those. We're going to go ahead and close the public portion and bring it back to the council with direction to staff after our receiving our report here.
Well, I think we should put it on the agenda at a future meeting to, I mean, I have some ideas, but they're not relevant to this action tonight, which is just, should we vote on it? And I think we should. Yeah. And no, you cannot hang one picture in here. I'm calling your wife. But anyway, I'll just make a motion that we agendize this item and then talk through some of the issues that you all raised tonight.
Do you need a motion on that, or just a
So I
consensus?
think that's what you
Is it a
wanted.
motion,
It's receive and
Scott?
file.
What do you
Scott,
want?
what do you want?
Yeah, whatever Andy needs to
What
get
do
it
you
on the
want?
agenda.
It can be
direction is
just
fine.
a standard direction from council without a vote, but if you feel more comfortable doing a vote, I think we can accommodate that.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to,
Okay, we do have a motion, and so do we have a second?
Let's vote on it,
Yeah.
just for fun.
And then we can discuss after. And so, is there a second?
We have some discussion?
Yeah,
on
we
that?
can have discussion after the motion, if we had a second. If no second? Oh, we have a second. Okay, we have motion, second, discussion. Go ahead.
I think it would be helpful and beneficial for the conversation of an agendized item to have some clarity with it. And I think the results of this survey show that it is specifically the national motto, "In God We Trust," and there was a majority of the respondents that said it should be above the council dais. And so I think if we have a specific item, an agenda item, I think that will give clarity to the conversation that will be had and make it a little more straightforward for us to deal with. So that would be my suggestion, is to have a specific thing, that it be the national motto, it be above the council chambers, and it be privately funded.
So,
Here is my
does that change the
position on
motion, Scott, with our discussion? Or we'll wait to the end to see if it
Yeah,
changes that?
let's see what Drew says.
Okay, we'll wait. Yeah.
I don't think that's required. I mean, it's the motion is to have it on the agenda. Those items will come up and we'll see where it lands. Because I think it's not a lot of people that responded, and if we think there's a different location that might be interesting. This is a pretty beautiful setup here. I'm not exactly sure. you know, I don't want to, I mean, we're not the architects, so I think we can have a conversation about it when it's on the agenda. And I think people's opinions on where it should go, to the woman's point about maybe they've never been here,
Right.
I think is weird. Like, I don't know, where should it go? I have no idea. So I'm not that attached to the location as much as just the conversation. So my motion is just, let's agendize it. We can address content, location,
Cost.
blah, 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 and how we're going to pay for it, and that would be the item. That could be the framework.
That was kind of the point I was going to
Yeah.
make. I think it was Jenny made the point of a lot of those people have never been in the
Yeah,
room.
yeah.
And since I never get to choose anything at home, I'm.
Right,
not gonna
and I
be
can
there.
see why. Have I said that already 3 times?
Yes,
So
you
that remains my motion, to agendize this item for the discussion of motto, location, cost, and other related items.
And I have, repeat my
Okay.
second.
And my only question with regards to the motion, are we also considering the other ones as well, or no? Just only in God We Trust? Because the other ones, 42%, 37%, or are we just straight in God We Trust? Just doing God We Trust? I just want to,
Do we need to redo that motion then? Because
no, I just wanted to ask
Wait.
if the motion
So
included
my
that.
motion was not just in God We Trust. I
okay.
understand that the number is high and that will be one of them, but I think there's an equal interest in local values, so I think we could accomplish 2 things at once. So I think we can talk about the breadth of the survey, and maybe there's no interest in that, but if we're going to just narrow it to a God We Trust, then there's really no more conversation. Like, could we talk about what else people said? So I'm interested in content, location, pay, and whatever that turns out to be is what it turns out to be. So I would like to at least consider the other things that people said, because if it's just in God We Trust, Drew doesn't get to redecorate. There will be no Declaration of Independence if it's just in God We Trust. So it's content, location, cost, full stop.
And then I just want to clarify, Drew, do you support that motion? Just the clarification of that motion.
With clarification that it also includes the other supporting documents that were talked about
Uh-huh.
in the survey, yes.
Okay.
it's-
So we'll have discussion on that. if we-
Content is open.
Yeah, so any discussion on that? No? Okay. So we have a motion, a second on the floor. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much, Andy, Chad, for the work on that. Okay, now we'll move to city manager comments. Andy?
Just have one event to highlight. Our annual community breakfast honoring the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is this coming Saturday. Tickets are only $5, so come and honor the doctor for his work and his life. And the theme is being courageous, seek justice, and show love. So appreciate the community coming out for that. With that, I'll turn it back over to you, Mayor.
Okay, we'll go to city council comments. Councilmember Basco? Councilmember Bessinger?
During the holiday season, driving around town, I noticed that there were numerous houses that were extremely beautiful, well decorated. There was one specifically at 702 Pulaski. It's that kind of mission-style house at the corner of 7th and Pulaski, and right across from the fire station. It sits way a little bit back. It's a beautiful home. They had it decorated. I wrote them a note, threw a little pin in the note, and the reason I'm bringing it up is probably during the next year, I think it would be nice for people to be able to nominate a neighbor. I mean, obviously, we can put it up on social media without their address because we don't need to invade people's privacy, of course, with their consent also, and maybe come up with a City of Clovis tree ornament that we could send people. It wouldn't be anything real elaborate. It could be the bucking bronco with he's on a reindeer and he's got a Santa hat. I don't know. But it would be something where people could take pride in it. You can nominate your neighbor. I think it would be fun too. And then we could always sell them and use that money to pay for the upgrades and
To pay for boot,
Yeah,
to pay for
exactly,
boot.
pay for the upgrade
And
room,
redecorate
room.
your apartment or your council chambers
And
here.
I think it would be fun. I think it would encourage people to, I think, Matt, you had some friends who live over by Weldon School. And I wrote them a note, and I just happened to be out one day, and I talked to them. They said, your note is still on a refrigerator. And I was like,
No, that's
Wow.
nice.
So the small things that we do sometimes really mean a lot to people. I think that would be a lot of fun. Vaughn, are you going to talk about our meeting tomorrow at City of Fresno?
No, I wasn't, but I will.
Okay. All right, that's all I have.
Hasn't had it yet.
Councilmember Ashbeck.
Just one question on cell towers. I saw an email circulating around about, I think, a property on Herndon, if I'm not mistaken. In my neck of the woods at the corner of Ashland and Armstrong, there is a very tall cell tower, and now it has a friend that's even taller than the last one, and they're side by side. And it would maybe be helpful to have a little refresher on how cell towers appear, how do they multiply, what's the neighborhood notice? Because now it's all, actually, I see when I drive by Ashland Armstrong, because they're,
Yeah, we
like
can
trying to
send out
be-
a cheat sheet on that for sure.
yeah, but it might be interesting because people are curious about it, and they don't win a prize for,
And-
they don't look like pine trees, they look like cell towers.
In danger of exposing my limited knowledge, some of this is regulated by the federal government, so we sometimes have challenges in regulating these as well. But we can send out some information on
Yeah,
that for
just a
council.
refresher, so when neighbors, excuse me, when neighbors ask, I don't know the answer, and as long as they're in compliance, I guess that's fine, but do you just get to keep multiplying cell towers on the same corner? That seems odd, so, anyway, that's it.
Mayor Pro Tem Pierce.
I have nothing.
All right. I have two items to report. First is we had this is the fourth joint meeting, City of Fresno, County of Fresno, us, and community-based organizations on homelessness. And as a result of the meeting, the county introduced its new, what is it called? Department of Homeless.
Maybe
What was it called?
maybe an office. Of,
Yeah,
yeah.
Office of Homelessness. So the county's taking a more aggressive leadership role in this space and sort of aggregate some of the services and also communicate more with the rest of the cities and the county regarding those services. And then the city of Fresno and the county are starting a joint MOU. They reviewed their revenues for homelessness. We only have CDBG, which we use a little bit for homeless. So we weren't even in the discussion, but I forgot what was the total. I didn't bring the sheet here, Andy.
I think total was about 30 million.
Yeah, so there's 30 million amongst the two entities used specifically for homelessness. Some are, okay, it has to be mental health homelessness. They have some little caveats to it, but overall 30 million. They are gonna create an MOU with sort of measurables and who's doing this, who's doing that. And then we're gonna look at it and then potentially it may expand to the other cities to see how we partner up as a community to sort of battle homelessness together as an entire county. And so I just wanted to give that update. Nothing yet on the MOU. Second, I wanted to report out that at the Council of Governments meeting, we spoke about the Measure C renewal expenditure plan, and the staff came back, like I said last week, asking for direction from the policy board on what to do, and the motion was made to stop the Council of Governments from pursuing it further, meaning, so that means it sort of puts the measure as drafted, and it's pretty much complete, as in the responsibilities of the COG, on a 9-3 vote. So so the measure is not dead in the sense of it's a measure still there, but dead in the sense of there's no more pursuit per the required, is it PUC codes or transportation codes, where you have to get consensus from majority of the cities and then the Board of Supervisors has to agendize it. So majority of the cities said no. So I just wanted to update the community on that. So with regards to COG, its work is done and the measure was drafted, but seeing a difficult path through the normal process, COG has halted its pursuit of it. So now it's just a measure that's there.
So it's really important, the headline that said Measure C is dead was totally inaccurate. It's
Yeah.
just, it's ended its work in the government sector. It's now a complete document that a citizens group or someone else might take to advance. So that's the,
Yeah,
it wasn't for nothing. The work was for a good purpose. So it's just the government path is over for Measure C right this minute.
yes. So the process,
Yeah.
the governmental process is over. So now community groups can pick up the measure or start their own measure, and they can pursue it that way. So I just wanted to report. So thank you. I want to thank our staff for the hard work and analysis of the measure as it kept coming forward and changing and giving at least myself direction on the nuts and bolts of, do these numbers work for our transit? Does it work for the road projects that are planned? And thank you, Andy, and Paul, for your work on that, getting Thad and Sean and everybody else to help us with that information. And then lastly, we do have it's not the first, but it's not a joint official meeting of two councils. It is sort of a subcommittee of not a majority of the Fresno City Council and only two of us, and with the mayor of the city of Fresno, to sort of talk to see do we want to do something? Should we start talking? Should we look at, and if we meet or want to meet like this, what should we be meeting about? What are some of the issues that we should talk about? So it's sort of an exploratory, but yet very high level, just to start the discussion of, are these beneficial to our two cities since we are so close to each other? So that's the intent of the meeting. Councilmember Bessinger and I will be joined by Andy and Paul tomorrow. And I understand Fresno City Manager, Mayor Dyer, Councilmember Carbasi, and then one or two other council members, which I do not know who yet, will join in that meeting tomorrow as well. So I just wanted to report that out. With that, I have nothing else, and we will now move to closed session. And the item is conference with legal counsel, existing litigation regarding the Martinez versus City of Clovis case. Anyone in the council chambers like to comment on this before we move to closed session? Okay, seeing none. Scott, are we expecting a report in here?
We're not requesting action tonight, so there will be no report.
All right, thank you. We are adjourned at 8:02 into closed session.